What's up, everyone? Welcome to a brand new sweet film podcast with me and your other great host, Cody Curtis. Today, we will be talking about the best films so far of 2018. Me and Cody compiled a list of our top 10 favorite films so far of 2018. Let me tell you, this is the hardest thing I've had to do all year long so far. It'll probably get a little bit harder towards the end of this year. But before we get into it, Cody, how are you doing today? How hard was your list to make?
Yeah, it was. Zach's not lying, guys. This was the hardest thing I've had to do all year. Honestly, it's going to be a lot harder towards the end of the year, but right now, yeah, this was some tough because there's been a lot of really good movies that have come out this year. But as a reminder, I mean, before we get into the show, before we start talking about our list, guys, just as a reminder, if you don't have time to listen to the Sweet Film Podcast or watch it, you can always save some time for the future and find it on SoundCloud and iTunes. You can also come back here to YouTube and watch it. But be sure, if you want to do that, if you want to check out the episode, be sure to go over to SoundCloud and iTunes and subscribe there because you'll get updates and you'll be able to download the episodes so you can listen to them at your leisure. But with that out of the way, Zach, why don't we just get right into it? Why don't we talk about our lists?
Oh, yeah, this is going to be... We don't know how long this episode is going to be, but it's going to be a lot. So before we get into it, how it's going to go pretty much is Cody's going to go there, me, Cody, then me, Cody, then me, etc., etc., etc. You guys know what I'm talking about. But, so how we're going to start this first, though, is we do have honorable mentions because, yeah, there's some honorable mentions. Cody, I'm going to let you say your honorable mentions first, and then whatever you don't say that I don't, I'll say what I don't, because I think we might have some of the same.
Okay, well, number one, this is actually, I think this might surprise you, since I had a very different reaction to this when I first saw it. My first honorable mention is Upgrade.
Kingdom. Oh,
Upgrade.
No? Oh, okay.
It's Upgrade. No, not your. No, that's probably on another list of mine.
No.
Yes. Upgrade. If you guys don't remember, I went over to see Zach in Arizona a few weeks back, and we went and saw Upgrade together. And I thought it was fine when I first come out of it. I was sort of on the negative side, but I've seen it a couple of times since I've been back in Maine, and I got to admit, I think it's a pretty fun and pretty smart sci-fi action movie. There is still a lot of things I don't like about it. The ending in particular, I thought was just a disaster, but Upgrade is one. Then the next I have is Isle of Dogs, Ready Player One. It was really hard for me not to put that in there. Deadpool 2. I was so close to putting Deadpool 2 into my list. And then finally, this is another film I had a very different reaction to when I first saw it. Annihilation. But wow. Annihilation is one of those films which, you know, it's been out for a few months. I've had some time to think on it. I've had a chance to see it again. And I got to admit, it's a very, very brilliant film. But like with Upgrade, I still have a lot of problems with the movie, but it is one of those films that made me think and realize just how masterful the filmmaking of the film was, even though it does have some issues.
Yeah, no, those are some great honorable mentions. For me, at least, Upgrades would have been one of mine. Isle of Dogs would have been another one of mine. And surprisingly, Deadpool 2 would have been another one of mine. And I'll be even honest, it wasn't even close to making my top 10.
Really?
Yeah, I saw that film 3 times. And for some reason, I really do not like the story of that film. I still think it's entertaining. I'll still rewatch it. And I just... I don't want to get into spoilers, but there's something that happens really early on in the film that for some reason just never clicks me into the film like the first one did. Just never did. And, and that's what sucks.
I mean, that's understandable. And it's
still
like,
love the film. Still love the film. Still love it. Just not top 10 worthy. A Quiet Place didn't make my top 10.
Really?
Really wanted it to. Ant-Man and the Wasp was actually my number 11. Ant-Man and the Wasp was my number 11. Almost made. I think if I see it again, it probably will get bumped into there. But I wanted to be like safe because I've only seen the film once. And then Won't You Be My Neighbor was number 12. Again, I just saw it. If I sit on it and marinate it on a little bit more, I might move in there. But that's a really good film, too, and I think people should understand that. And I do want to give 2 shout-outs to Tully and First Reformed. Absolutely loved both those films. I wanted to place them in here, but the fact is I only saw them once, and I didn't exactly feel comfortable putting them into here. But, Cody, what's your number 10? Let's get into our number 10, because, yeah, this is going to be interesting. I'm sure you're a little shocked that some of these didn't make my top 10.
Yeah, we're gonna. I bet you we are gonna have a conversation and a half with all of these. So number 10 for me, there were a few choices, but if there's one thing that the year of 2018 has proven is that comedies are on the fast track to being back in the public eye. Number 10 for me is actually Tag.
Me too.
I wait. That's your number 10 as well.
Number 10 is Tag. So let's just talk about Tag.
All right, yeah. So, okay, starting out, honestly, the thing that fascinates me with this film is the fact that, number one, I don't necessarily. Yes, I think it's the funniest movie of this year. Is it the comedy that I like the most? No, but we'll get into that later. But number 10 is Tag. Just the way the comedy flowed throughout the entire movie, the chemistry between the characters, and the fact that this is a really, really cool.
It's really heartwarming. It's really heartwarming.
And to know that these events actually happened, yeah, it's a really heartwarming film. And, having gone back to see it a second time, I love it. Tag is a fantastic movie.
Oh, I agree. Yeah, I love Tag. I love the cast in here. I want a sequel. I'd love a sequel with these characters again. I think it was great. I think my favorite moments towards the end of with the credits when it's showing the actual footage and showing that they actually did go to these lengths to capture people. Because I thought, oh, these are just for movie purposes, but they're not. The only thing that was for movie purposes was the miscarriage part. Hopefully.
Exactly.
And I know a lot of people, when I saw it in theaters, I was like, okay, some people are going to have a huge issue with that scene. But I thought it was funny. I mean, I thought it was funny. It's a little messed up, but it is funny. The whole film in general is funny. I love me some John Hamm. And I love when John Hamm does these things. But that doesn't go to Ed Helms is really hilarious in there. Jeremy Renner, Jake Johnson was hilarious. Isla Fisher, bring her back. She needs to do more stuff. But yeah, Tag is one of the most entertaining films I've seen all year long. Again, even though I think it's the funniest, I'm with you. There's still one more comedy this year that stole my heart. Yeah, but Tag is the film that you want to get your friends together and just meet up again. I mean, that's the talent of a great film, of getting you to actually do something without it really proclaiming you to. And I really am so happy with how Tag came out. And I saw the score. It's kind of rotten on Rotten Tomatoes. And I'm like, why? It's so heartwarming. There's some great moments to it. And I liked it a lot.
Yeah, no, here's the thing. When it comes to films like Tag, they're not made for critics. They're not made for the higher echelon of people who think
best people of the world. The Russian France people, they don't like these types of Tag and type shits. The sequel is called Hide and Go Seek.
Yeah, no. The thing that's great about Tag, though, is it's made for people like us. It's made for people, who have friends, who want to keep those friends around, who want to keep those friends together. And, everybody's got their thing. And maybe it's video games. Maybe it's a game of Tag. But there's always that one thing. And it is a film that makes you want to go out there with your friends and find your own personal way of how to stay connected with your friends for a very, very long time. And when it comes, okay, you mentioned John Hamm. Honestly, it's always a pleasure to me to see John Hamm in anything he does now because, okay, here's the thing. If you guys don't know, I reviewed Nostalgia earlier this year, hated the movie, loved John Hamm in it. Here's the thing.
That's just how he goes, though. He's just a charismatic man.
I mean, with each film, though, be it Baby Driver, Nostalgia, or Tag, he was a different character in each one of those movies.
Have you ever seen Batman?
Yes, I have.
Dude, Madman. I never finished it. I wish I would have, but I loved. That's the reason. That's where he was up to play Batman, and he would have been an awesome Batman. It would have been awesome if they honestly need another Batman. I would be totally on board with them recasting him.
Yeah, me too.
Since we all know Jake Gyllenhaal isn't going to be Batman anymore, he's going to be Mysterio, which is
honestly. Cool. Oh yeah, and one last final note for me on Tag is the nice part for me is that. Little actress by the name of Annabelle Wallis, who was in a really terrible movie called The Mummy last year. In my opinion, maybe not completely, but I think she did redeem herself a little bit as an actress after
she was funny. She was funny in here. I thought she was funny.
Yeah.
I liked her.
Yeah. I mean, but yeah, Tag is number 10 for me.
Zach, so, Cody, you want me to say my number 9 now?
Yeah. I mean, I went first, so go right ahead.
Cool. My number 9 is Red Sparrow. I fucking love this film. I've seen it 3 times. Isn't your number 9 Sparrow too?
No, it's not.
Oh, okay.
Red Sparrow is on the list, but
Oh, okay. So, Red Sparrow is a film that when I came out of the theaters, a majority of people walked out of my theater experience watching this, and I understand why. It's a brutal film. It's a very slow-paced film, but I like what they did with that. Is it a perfect film? In no matter, no, it's not even close. But I think it has balls for what it did. I think it has really big balls for what it did, and how the torture scenes, the action scenes go. I don't even know if I would call them action scenes.
No, I wouldn't.
Is incredible, and I absolutely love how Red Sparrow just plays out overall. It's a very unique film. Gives a wonderful, amazing performance by Jennifer Lawrence, a ballsy performance. She goes all out, shows everything, and Red Sparrow for me is just one of those films that not a lot of people in Hollywood make. Yes, are these some cliche story plots? Yes, but the way that the film is made, the whole school of sparrows is the most intriguing part of this whole film. And I do wish, that's my one problem with the film, I wish they would have shown more of that. Because the story, when you actually get to the spy elements, is a little bit predictable. And some things don't turn out the way they should or like plan out to be. And I understand maybe that's just how they were going for it. But that school of sparrows, like, struck me, and just Jennifer Lawrence's performance in here is fantastic. I love this film, and I know some people hated it. I loved it.
I mean, it's understandable why some people would hate, because, you know, I've went on record to say that Red Sparrow, it's a brilliant film. I love it, but it's definitely not a film for everybody. It's a very raw, very, very mature story. And yeah, Jennifer Lawrence, she puts it all out there, but the movie is very, very strong in what it tries to say. And there is another point I want to make about Red Sparrow, but I think I'll save that for a little later.
So what's your number 9 then?
My number 9 is Black Panther.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that freaking low?
Yeah, I know. I love Black Panther. I'm the person who came out of the theater. I'm like, this is my all-time favorite Marvel movie.
I'll be with you. It was that low, but I just rewatched it, and I saw that film 4 times in theaters, and I just rewatched it again, and it skyrocketed on my list because I forgot how brilliant. Which I'll get to that and talk about it. But damn, that low. Wow.
Yeah, no, for me, you know. And it's funny because I recently watched it again too, but as it stands, it is where it is on my list. But I love them. I can't say enough good word. We're not talking about the worst list of the year here, people. We're talking about the best. And Black Panther is number 9, simply because the third act for me, although it is brilliant, there is some stuff, be it with the action sequence between Killmonger and T'Challa, there is some things in the last act that I thought were a little bit more convoluted than I would to have liked to have seen. But overall, the movie's message, the way the movie connects with people, the fact of how much of a game changer this is for Marvel, how much of a risk it is. I mean, Black Panther is a really brilliant film overall. And I can't say enough, because although people can say the whole story of the King of Wakanda, how Chadwick Boseman's performance wasn't as great as it was in Civil War, I'll come out and defend the performance, because in my opinion, you know, he's not on his quest for revenge. He's not as angry anymore. So I feel like some of that charisma can drop because he's becoming the king that he needs to be. And if he's more monotone and people find him more bland, I think that's simply because he's trying to find himself. But yeah, that's where it stands for me. Black Panther, I love the movie. It's number 9 for me.
Oh, okay, great. So I'm going to have you say your number 8 now. What's your number 8? Let's jump right back to your number 8.
Number 8 for me is Love, Simon.
I didn't see it.
Yeah, I know. And but dude, I'm telling you, when you get the chance, see it. When I reviewed it,
I'm gonna buy it.
I'm
gonna buy it on my next paycheck.
Good, do it, because when I talk about Love, Simon, it's another coming of age story, kind of like Edge of 17, Lady Bird, and Love, Simon is actually in between those for me, which everybody knows. It's like the past 3 years we have had great, phenomenal coming of age films. Lady Bird, Love, Simon, and Edge of 17, they're like the trifecta of coming of age films for this generation. And Love, Simon, you know, it's a story. The thing I love about it, yes, it's a story of somebody who is secretly gay, but it's also the story of kids who are going through high school, and, you know, basically what you think of a traditional coming of age film. But the thing I love about it is, Although there are one or two things I wish would have been improved, the message of the story is powerful because it teaches you no matter who you are, you should unashamedly be who you want to be. You should unashamedly be who you are and not be afraid of anybody else is telling you that you're either going to fail or you're a horrible person because you are who you are. The performances overall are great, and man, I can't talk enough about Love, Simon. It's just a brilliantly made film, a brilliantly put together film. But Zach, you know what? I've talked enough about this film. I want to know what your number 8 is.
So my number 8 is Game Night. This was tough to put here, but I love this film. Surprised me. Went to the theater thinking this is gonna be stupid and I'm gonna waste my time. Walked out saying, "Holy shit, that comedy was awesome." And
yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I love the cast on board with here, but I have such a crush on Rachel McAdams. I mean, her relationship with Jason Bateman in here is so adorable, and I totally believed in them. Even though some people didn't like their relationship, I loved it. It totally worked for me, and it was just overall funny. I love the bullet scene when they're getting the bullet out, and just the whole concept of the Game Night is hilarious. But the thing that really makes this film work isn't just Jesse Plemons being a creepy-ass cop. It is the fact how the film is directed and the cinematography for it. The direction for this film is great. And I know it's from the guys who did Vacation. I liked Vacation. Is it a great movie? Hell no. Is it a funny movie to me? Yes, because all comedy is subjective. But they also did write the script for Spider-Man Homecoming, and they're doing the Flash film. And when I heard they got the Flash film, I was like, they're getting the Flash film out of every director in the world. But then you see this film and the way they filmed it, you're like, okay, 100% on board. I understand why they're doing the Flash film. And just that scene of them running around the house, throwing the thing around, that sold me on how they have the Flash film. Seriously, like that scene, like if they're going to film something, that scene was great. The way that they made everything look like game board pieces was unique. And I loved Game Night. It is such a charming film. I've watched it so many times since I bought it on Blu-ray. It is an adorable film. And it was really this is actually the film that bumped out Deadpool 2.
Really?
So, yep, this is the film that bumped out Deadpool 2. It was going back between both of those, so I needed Game Night in here. I loved Game Night.
I mean, that's understandable. Game Night is fantastic. I loved Game Night too. Which is funny because that's probably a spoiler for my number 7.
Okay. So let's get in your number 7. Talk about Game Night.
Yeah, oh my gosh. Everything you've talked about. And here's the thing. Is it the funniest comedy of the year? No, I don't think so. But is it the comedy that has the most heart out of any of the comedies that have come out this year? Absolutely. I loved Game Night. And the reason why it is number 7, the reason why it's higher than Tag, higher than any other comedy I've seen this year, is not because of how much it made me laugh, because Tag made me laugh consistently throughout the entire film. Every time that there was a big comedic scene in Game Night, by the end of the film, my stomach was hurting because I was laughing so much. And the charisma between everybody, the way it talks about friends, the way it talks about family, the way it talks about neighbors, just the whole way this whole thing is pieced together is brilliantly done. And yeah, the cinematography is great. The cinematography makes all the wide establishing shots in the film, they look like you're either on the Game of Life, or it basically makes you look like you're on a board game, essentially.
That's the best thing about it.
I mean, the opening title sequence is all just a bunch of game pieces falling down from the top of the screen. I mean, Game Night is fantastic. It's a brilliant film. And if there's somebody out there who hasn't seen it, do yourself a favor and go pick it up and watch it.
Well, let me tell you, a lot of people didn't see it because I think it only made like $65 million at the box office.
Yeah, and that's a shame. The movie was so good.
Totally a shame. But, Cody, you want to hear what my number 7 is?
Is it Black Panther?
No, you're going to be mad. It's Hereditary.
What?
Yep.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, it's at my number 7.
Wow.
It took a lot. I'm not gonna lie, I almost bumped it off. As much as I like the film, actually, as much as I love the film, I almost bumped it off. I love 95% of the film. 5% of it I hate, and that's the ending. I do not like the ending. I've seen the film 3 times now, and every single time I see that ending, it just pisses me off at this point. I think Ari Aster is a fantastic director. I cannot wait to see what he does next. If you have not seen his short films, do watch them because they are freaking amazing. But the problem with Hereditary for me is that ending. It really hits me in the chest and just knocks the wind out of me. And not in a good way. It just takes the momentum away. Like that ending, everything building up to the last 5 minutes is so good. And I think it should have just cut off and ended. And it just sucks that I'm saying this because I really, dude, so when I started this list, it was at my number 2. And then I was like, nah, I'm going to keep pushing it back down. I kept pushing it back down. So I do love Hereditary. Fantastic performance from Toni Collette. Fantastic performance from the Wolf brother. And just the clocking sound is scary. The imagery in here is horrific. And it's just seriously, some people might find this film boring. I find this film a talent and greatness. Yes, people do find this film boring. Go look at my comment section on our review. The amount of people being dicks on there. How could you think this movie was scary? It's the most boring film I've ever watched. Fuck you. You probably like fucking 50 Shades Freed. Listen, all film's subjective. Yeah, don't come at me talking about how boring this film is. I think this film is great. I'm totally gonna buy it, but it does come at my number 7.
Okay. You know, it's funny. It's really funny, Zach, that you say that because it seems like our lists are going almost exactly in sync. Because the reason why I'm not saying anything right now is because my number 6 happens to be Hereditary.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no. And the end, I mean, my main problem is exactly the same as yours, is that the ending, you know, I've seen Hereditary twice since I've been home, and whenever the ending comes up, everything leading up to the ending I thought was brilliant. The symbolism that they have in each one of the scenes, the fact that it's one of those things where it makes you want to pause each scene to see if you can pick out any new details. Everything leading up to the ending is fantastic. But yeah, that ending, well, it doesn't knock the wind out of me in a bad way. It's just that it's so shocking and in your face that
it tries to over-explain it. It's over-explaining.
Well, it's not just that. It's also the fact that the very, very ending, specifically the ending, it feels like I understand what Ari Aster was trying to do. It feels like he was trying to do something very similar to The Witch, but I wish he would have gone in a different direction. Yeah.
So I have a feeling that the ending was radically different. And what I have a problem is because a lot of people have an issue with the Witch's ending, which I kind of did as well. But the problem with the Witch's ending that I didn't hate it. I didn't hate it. It was just ended, and I was like, oh, okay. The problem with the Witch's ending is a lot of people had the complaint that they didn't understand what just happened. And given that's how the film was supposed to be. The Witch was supposed to make you feel like that. So what I have a feeling that happened is Hereditary probably had a different ending, and I wonder if he had filmed it, and the problem with it was, in test audience, that was their ending, is that they didn't understand what happened. Which I did. But I get it, some people won't. I wonder if he got told from the studio, hey, we're going to buy your film, but you got to reshoot the ending. Because it literally is like The Witch. It literally is The Witch. The ending is just like The Witch, but they went on a couple minutes later.
Yeah, and you know what? This might actually be a topic that we can have on another podcast, because I think, honestly, I would like to have a conversation about how we would do the ending differently. But Hereditary has only been in theaters for a couple of weeks, so I think spoilers right now is a little unnecessary. But that's what it comes down to. Honestly, I'd say the 20 minutes leading up to the last 10, because the main problem I have is with the last 5 to 10 minutes of the film. But it's pure 20 minutes leading up to the very ending. I thought was brilliant. It's the kind of atmospheric horror that I wanted. And the whole family drama section leading up to it, I thought was great. I understand people have a problem with that because they don't think that there needs to be that much buildup. For me, it worked. But Hereditary, it's one of my favorite films of this year. But yeah, same thing. Ending for me didn't really work as well. But Zach, what is your number 5? Or I should say number 6, sorry.
So my number 6 is Black Panther. I love Black Panther. Now, I'll be honest, like, I saw it in theaters, loved it, watched it again, loved it, but as the year went by, it started flying down my list. But when it came out on Blu-ray, I wanted to rewatch it again, rewatched it, absolutely loved it. This film is incredible. Again, this is one of the best Marvel films. No shock there. Chadwick Boseman's great, but Killmonger. Oh my god, dude. I'm sorry, but Killmonger, that he's the reason that it gets number 6. I loved Killmonger. I love Michael B. Jordan. And just his swagger and charisma, like I want to be like that. Like I wish I had that swagger and charisma that he does. And just his opening scene is fantastic. And the music is great. I listen to the music, the soundtrack like once a day. It is seriously one of the most special films I've seen this year. One of the most unique films. The mythology and the world building, for people who know my channel, that I love mythology and world building in itself, and that this is part of the reason why I love this film so much, is because it's so great in that characteristic. I'm with you. The ending, it's fine when it's getting there, but I actually love their last fight scene. I get it. The CGI is very iffy. But I love that last fight scene. I think it looks great. I always have a thing when people are falling and they just start hitting each other. Like Spider-Man did that as well, and this does it. And I'm just a fan of Black Panther. It's such a fantastic film, and I just love it so much. But tell me, what is your number 5 now?
Okay, number 5 for me is Red Sparrow.
Wow, that far down.
Dude, yeah, no, I loved Red Sparrow. Obviously, I do. I mean, it's number 5. It's in my top 5 of the year. The fact that, and you pretty much said everything I wanted to say, but there is one point I wanted to make. It's not just the performances. It's not just the messages that the film preaches. It's a story about something that has been going on in governments that people may not have known about, but this is a system within the militia of various governments that has been going on for years. And the one thing I said a couple months ago after I got out of Red Sparrow is, in all honesty, take the spy aspect out of it. I believe that there is a universe where the 50 Shades of Grey movies could have been good. Take the author away from the creative process that the directors could have made. If you take the story of Anastasia Steele and make it kind of like Red Sparrow, to where she is a victim of sexual violence and she meets up with somebody who has a very damaged past, kind of like she does, and they form probably not a healthy relationship, but a relationship that they can work with. I feel as though that would have been a much better story, and people probably would have enjoyed the 50 Shades of Grey movies even more. But like I said, I love Red Sparrow, and in my opinion, this is my version of a 50 Shades of Grey movie that I would have wanted. Red Sparrow is fantastic. It's a great movie. And yeah, besides the spy stuff, it is a movie about sexual violence and how men have, you know, with all the stuff that with the Me Too movement and all the stuff that we've gotten over the past couple of years.
Yeah, this film came out at the bad moment.
Yeah, it definitely did. But I appreciate that, like you said, it had the balls to do so, because this film is very important.
Oh yeah, absolutely agree with you, man. I love Red Sparrow so much. It is a really good film.
All right. What's your number 4, Zach?
You mean my 5?
Oh, but
Cody can't count today, guys.
Yeah, obviously I can. What's your number 5, Zach?
My number 5 is Paddington 2. The best made film this year, the most charming film I'll ever see of my life, and I never knew I could cry in a bear movie. I freaking love Paddington 2. I went to it, I liked the first one, it was cute, but I went to the second one thinking, it's gonna be cute. And I walked out saying, holy crap, this is gonna end up my top 10 of the year. As somewhere in there. Like, Paddington 2 is the film to beat. I loved Paddington 2. Every ounce of stuff in this film made my heart just weep of happiness and sadness, and it just makes you want to be a better person. It does. Really does. Like, Paddington 2, seeing how cute the bear is, seeing how he is as a person, seeing his personality is just some of the most adorable things I've seen on the screen. And I love this film. There's nothing I can't say. If you've never seen Paddington 2, it doesn't matter what age you are, watch it. It will make your heart sink. You don't have to see the first one. I promise you don't have to see the first one. Even though, I guess if you have the time to watch it, but I do recommend the second one is a masterpiece. Second one is amazing. And is it? I hope to God it's still at 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. If it's not, I would be so mad.
You know, I think it is, actually.
Let's check. Yep, it is. And that, I remember Paddington 2 is officially the highest rated film on Rotten Tomatoes.
Nice.
Toy Story 1 and 2 had it originally, but now this one does.
Which nice.
198 people thought it was great.
That's fantastic.
I love Paddington 2. But Cody, what's your number 4?
Number 4 for me is, you know, you had it in your honorable mentions. Number 4 for me is A Quiet Place.
Wow.
Yeah. No, dude. You know, it's kind of funny. You get these actors who have comedic backgrounds back in the day, and they're still very funny today. And then you throw them a bone, you're like, "Here, direct a movie." And then they give us, within the past 2 years, two of the best thrillers that have come out in the past couple of years. A Quiet Place is fantastic. And for those of you who are wondering what the first one I was talking about, that would be Get Out from last year. But A Quiet Place, to me, this is something extremely special because the film is 95% sign language and motions and facial expressions. And that's something that is really difficult to pull off when most of your film has to deal with people not speaking anything, not saying a word, just using sign language. And the tension is so well built that any little thing that goes off, any little creak, any little noise that happens on screen, you are in shock because it just takes you back for a loop because everything has just been so tension filled and so on the edge of your seat. The movie goes there, and John Krasinski and Emily Blunt, the fact is they're married in real life. They're married in this film, and what they managed to do together on this film, and hearing about just how hard that John Krasinski worked to get this film out there, it's great. And John Krasinski, just like with Jordan Peele for last year, I cannot wait to see what this guy does, and I really hope he works to bring us another thriller. Because honestly, I know for this film, A Quiet Place, it wasn't originally supposed to be a horror/thriller movie. It was supposed to be more along the lines of a family drama, if I remember that correctly. And it just transitioned.
I think it still is. I think it's more of a thriller with that family drama aspect. I loved Quiet Place. I'm with you on that board. I think Emily Blunt gives probably one of the strongest performances of this year. John Krasinski is probably one of the best directed films of the year. Absolutely loved this film. I think it's great. It was super close to making it, and honestly, I almost took Hereditary off for this film. But the thing is, I only saw Quiet Place once, and that's my fault. I think if I would have seen it again, it probably would have jumped up in there. I think I just love everything about it. The ending, the beginning, the middle, the end. This film is just very powerful. It's very powerful. And I love that they really went in that direction of using just the sign language. I love when films touch on that aspect. And you're totally right. I'm glad you picked A Quiet Place so I could at least talk about it a little bit.
Yeah, no problem. You know what? Here's a little fun fact for you guys that don't know is that, and you know, this has nothing to do with movies whatsoever, but I started playing Resident Evil 7 Biohazard this week, and I noticed...
Oh, yeah, finally.
And I also watched A Quiet Place probably 2 weeks ago. And what I can say, maybe it wasn't 2 weeks ago. Well, I watched it recently. That's the point here. But when it comes to A Quiet Place, what I realized is the monsters that are in this film, they kind of look like the black tar monsters from Resident Evil 7.
Yeah, I can see what you mean by that.
Number 4.
All right, so my number 4 is Ready Player One. Absolutely love this film. I love the book. Okay. I know it's completely different, but I love Ready Player One. I saw it 5 times in the theaters, and the second it comes out on Blu-ray, I'm going to be watching it again. I'm so happy this film made a ton of money at the box office. I hope to God we get a sequel. I think we will. Given it wasn't like a $1 billion film, but it made almost $600 million at the box office. I was really worried it was not going to make its money back, but it did. Steven Spielberg, this is the first film I've seen in years where he did bring back the magic for me. This felt like kids of this generation going on right now will see Ready Player One. This could be their Goonies. Yes, Ready Player One is not a perfect film. Yes, they didn't get into the best character backgrounds and giving the best character arcs and everything with all the other characters. There's not a lot of character development, but it is a blast to watch. It's kind of like Goonies. Goonies doesn't have that, but Goonies, a lot of people think this is a classic. And I will say this right now. I think people are going to look back at Ready Player One and think of that as this. It's nostalgic flavored. It has so much fun stuff in it. And the action sequences in here are off the charts amazing. It's one of those films that I just love watching and looking at all the Easter eggs and just seeing every single thing in here. The soundtrack, the score is incredible. I just absolutely loved Ready Player One. I can't gush about it enough. And maybe it's just part of me is because Iron Giant has a full battle sequence in here, and I absolutely love Iron Giant. But just the way he directed the film shows that it doesn't matter how old you are, you can direct an action film. And I just think Ready Player One is one of the best films of this year. One of the most entertaining for sure. I get people's gripes with it, but for me, it just stole my heart.
Okay, I'm glad that you brought up Ready Player One so I can talk about it because it was in my honorable mentions. But yeah, Ready Player One is a really, really good film. My biggest problem with Ready Player One is I think, although it is great, I think it does get lost in some aspects with all the nostalgia that it's throwing up on the screen for me. Some of the story got a little bit lost and I was wondering where it was going, but it's still a really, really good film. I still enjoy it. And hey, speaking of the Iron Giant, who directed the Iron Giant, Zach?
Brad motherfucking Bird.
Yeah, you got that right. And I'm sure we'll be talking about him later. But okay, Zach, what is your number 3?
My number 3 is Annihilation. Loved Annihilation. I'm the only one that came out of the theater and loved it. Love this film. I think it's I don't want to say a masterpiece because I think Ex Machina is a masterpiece, but pretty damn close. This is a film that when I walked out of it, I didn't even know what I just watched. It's a film that I've seen multiple times now and dug deep into. And I actually have a spoiler review on my channel that I really dig into what this film does, all the symbolism and everything. And that was like the first time I've actually like really studied for a spoiler review. And it's a film that you have to. I don't want to say anything. I know it's out, but it's a film that I think you need to take in with yourself. And the one I love the film. I would have loved for it to be a little bit more horror aspect, like the trailers portrayed it to be. I understand why they didn't do it that way, because it is a really weird film. But I can't gush my love about this film. No, I love the performances. Natalie Portman's great in here. Jennifer Jason Leigh. Gina Rodriguez stole a lot of these scenes, and that freaking bear is terrifying. There's the things about it. And I think Annihilation, the ending and everything you look into there's a lot more to our main character than you think. And I love that it portrays her as a liar. So if you haven't seen the film yet, just look at how much she's lying and really think, can you really believe everything that's going on right now? Because she's the one telling the story. Love that Alex Garland did that as a directing choice. And I cannot wait to see what he does next.
Yeah, you know, it's funny. That is the one thing when I first saw Annihilation, that's the one thing that made me despise it. I did not like the direction of where Alex Garland had taken it. But like I said, after time, after marinating on it for a little bit, after all this stuff has gone by, I really enjoy Annihilation now. Like I said, I've had a chance to see it more than once, and it does give your brain something to think on. It's a film that you want to go to and actually get out of and think about what you just watched and analyze what you just watched. And I mean, Annihilation is really good. Like I said, this is another film that isn't for everybody, but it is also a film that I think everybody should watch because it's one of those things that even if you don't like the film, it does give you something to think about as time moves on and progresses.
I totally agree with you. But Cody, what's your number 3?
You know what's funny? My number 3 is Paddington 2.
Yay. I was really worried you were going to forget about this one because I feel like a lot of people are.
Yeah, no, dude. I loved Paddington 2. You're right. It's a masterpiece. There is literally nothing wrong with Paddington 2 whatsoever. It's not a movie for kids. It's a movie for kids and adults. It's a movie for families.
It's a family film.
It's a movie for everybody. Honestly, you can go into this film being the most grungy, horrible, disgustingly angry person, and you'll come out and you'll be semi-happy by the time you get out of it.
They should make terrorists and they should watch this, and they should also make prisons watch this like 24/7.
They should, which is funny because there's a prison scene
and then
in
Human
Paddington
Centipede. Like go back and forth. Like
Dude,
play this one day and then that one day.
Dude, what is wrong with you?
No, think about it. They'd be like, if you don't turn out like this, this will be you.
I'm going to keep talking about Paddington 2.
Mouth to ass.
Oh, gosh. That's just so wrong.
Not really.
Okay, so Paddington 2. I think my appetite's just been destroyed. But
hopefully you're eating during watching this podcast.
Yeah, Paddington 2. I can't speak enough praises about this movie. I love this movie. I love Paddington 2. Ben Whishaw as Paddington. He's so great. And I enjoyed the first Paddington movie. I think it is a very good film, but Paddington 2 blows the first one out of the water. It's brilliant from top to bottom. I think I've said pretty much, you've either heard Zach say or me say, or you've just hear our combined thoughts. Is pretty much what we're trying to say about Paddington 2. If you haven't seen it, treat yourself and watch it.
Yeah, I can't agree more, man. I want you to say your number 2 though, because we might have the same exact number 2.
Number 2, if we got the same exact number 2, we probably have the same exact number 1. So number 2 for me is Avengers Infinity War.
Yep, same here. Avengers Infinity War. So that we all know what number 1's going to be.
Yep.
It's 50 Shades Freed.
Yeah, you know it. All right. We love those crappy sex scenes.
Oh, man. Damn. Avengers Infinity War. What can we say? This is the culmination of the 10 years that Marvel's built up for this moment in time. And
it's got the best Marvel villain, one of the best movie villains in history.
Yes, Thanos is fantastic. Josh Brolin, this is really the summer of Brolin. He is so good. He was fantastic in Sicario. He's fantastic in Deadpool 2, but I think this is hands down the best performance he's given in his career. He is so, or Only the Brave. That's also a really good one as well. But Thanos is just something different. The fact that 30 minutes he's the one with the most screen time is insane to me. And I absolutely just loved Avengers Infinity War. It felt like an event. It literally was an event leading up. And this is the Two Towers. This is the Empire Strikes Back of the Marvel Universe. It is so well done. I love how the ending isn't just a cliffhanger. Like, I wouldn't say it's a cliffhanger, but it's more of the story's done, it's ended, and we're moving on from here. Where do our characters go? Where do our stories go? I don't know, because that's the first time I walked down and said, I can theorize as much as I want, but I don't know what the fuck is going to happen. I just absolutely adored Avengers Infinity War. I think it's ballsy where they took stuff. I understand people's gripes with the ending where after the snap, obviously those people have sequels, so it's, I don't know where you're going to take that, but it's how, I think it's more of how are we going to get them back? And I'm kind of spoiling it because if you're not out of the $2.1 billion that you didn't spend your money towards Avengers Infinity War, that is your fault. I'm sorry. You should have seen the film by now. It was in theaters for 9 weeks. It finally fell out of the top 10. It's still in theaters. But this film is incredible. The amount of surprises, the amount of character interactions that we've always wanted. Thor, Rocket, and Groot. That's all I'll say. I'll leave it there.
Yeah, no, okay, here's the thing, guys. Zach is right. If you haven't spent your money to see Avengers Infinity War, it is still in theaters, so when you get the chance, go see it.
And I'll even say this, like, if you're not a big Marvel fan, I do still recommend seeing it, because this girl at my work saw it, and she does not like superhero films. Like, she's very picky with movies. And it's a long film, too. She came up to me, and she's like, oh my god, I loved Avengers Infinity War. And I was so happy that she liked it. I was so happy. So, yeah. Totally. It's a film that is just worth seeing in the theaters. It is so entertaining. Yeah, should you probably see all the other films before? Yeah, but you don't need to. Like, you can still enjoy the film.
Absolutely. And here's the thing about Avengers Infinity War is, it may or may not be a responsibility, but Avengers Infinity War is an event film. It's one of the film. There has never been a film like this in theaters. Ever. I mean, the way they brought this about is great. I mean, I can understand people's gripes too, because I had a conversation with somebody about the fact he's like, well, there isn't really a lot of character building in Avengers Infinity War. And I simply asked it. It's the Harry Potter syndrome thing. I asked him, well, have you seen Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows? And he said, yeah. And I love that. I said, did you see the previous Harry Potter films? He said, yeah. Have you seen the previous MCU films? No, he hasn't. The build-up for these characters is in the previous Marvel MCU films. So the build-up we don't exactly need when it comes to Avengers Infinity War because they've already been established. We already know about Iron Man, about Thor, about the Incredible Hulk, about all of these guys. We don't need any build-up. We've already gotten it. And the way that it was just put together, the way that the Russo brothers, two people who were doing stuff along the lines of doing episodes of Community, doing comedic stuff. They came along, They did Captain America: The Winter Soldier. They did Captain America: Civil War. And now they've done what some people consider it may very well be the best Marvel film. These guys have a great track record at this point, and they did a phenomenal job. And this film,
do you hear they're making a Netflix thing with Keanu Reeves action film?
I certainly hope so, because I'll watch it in a heartbeat.
Same. I love the Russo brothers. But Cody, we're getting down to our number one film of the year. It's going to be impossible for this film to get knocked off my top.
Yeah, me too.
So let's talk about it. On the count of three, we're both going to say it. 1, 2, 3. The Incredibles 2 or Teen Titans Go. Okay, I do have to say one more thing really fast. Apparently, people have actually seen Teen Titans Go and say it's the best animated film of the year.
What? Really?
Yes, there are actual critics saying this that just saw it, and yeah, now I'm actually kind of excited to see it.
You know, here's the thing. If that is the case, if they're saying that, if this comes out and it is the best animated film of the year, that makes me excited because that gives us probably a 200% chance that we're getting Teen Titans
They said it's the best film DC's made since The Dark Knight.
Is that what they actually said?
Yes, some people actually said that. But let's talk to The Incredibles 2. That's another discussion for another time. The Incredibles 2. Cody, I'll let you start.
What? You know, it's something when a sequel comes out. It's something incredibly special
14
when
years later.
Years have passed and a sequel comes out. And some, including myself, consider it to be better than the original. Is the villain not as good as Syndrome? No, but Syndrome is a very, very tough villain to crack. He was perfect. He was a perfect villain for the first film. This film, the way they take the characters, the way they take the writing and the screenplay, the way they take the relationship, the character building, the powers, the introduction to a much bigger world of heroes, trying to get rid of the ban for superheroes. It's great. And putting Elastigirl into the sunlight, I feel was a perfect move. And I know people have problems with that because, you know, people are going to say you're SJ Warriors or you're, you know, it's the whole
People
Star
need to
Wars
stop
effect.
though, because he's had that plan to do Elastigirl since the first one. Like,
yeah.
Like, that's a different discussion.
Yeah, no, it is a different discussion. It is something that makes me disappointed because nobody was complaining when Princess Leia was in the forefront when it came to the original Star Wars films. But here's the thing. The Incredibles 2 is the best movie of the year, in as you can tell, in our opinion. But what can there be said? The animation has improved, and it's fun to see that the voice talent, their voices really haven't changed in 14 years.
The only one that did was Dash, but you can't even tell.
I know. It's really interesting. The movie is fun. It's a blast. The movie is incredible. Every pun intended. I
totally agree with you. It is an incredible film because everything is great about this film. It is a near perfect film. The villain was my one sidestep, and I don't even think the villain's that bad. I have to remember that this film is still for kids. Like that's the thing I do have to remember, that it's a film made for kids, but adults can go and enjoy it as well. I love this film to death. I don't want to say it's better than the first one just because I love the first one, but as time goes on, maybe I will agree to that on a certain point, just like I did with Toy Story 3 eventually. Incredibles 2, though, the fact that Jack steals the whole entire film. There's one scene in particular. I know it's still in theater, so I'm not going to spoil it, but there's one scene with Jack and a raccoon. Best scene in the whole film.
Yeah.
But you brought up something like the animation. The animation for this film is so unique because they make it look like a comic book. There's a scene where Elastigirl's fighting the Screenslaver for the first time, and the way they made it look was literally like a comic book, and I appreciate that kind of stuff so much. I absolutely loved The Incredibles 2. I think it is the best film of this year. I think it's the best made film of this year. And again, like I said, if I have to wait another 14 years for a third one that's just as good, I'm fine with that. Because if the fact that the sequel is just as good, if not better, that says a lot. That says a lot.
Yeah. And honestly, here's one thing I need to add. Not just the animation, the cinematography. There is one action sequence in here involving a train and Elastigirl. I am still baffled because I am not sure how they went about animating
or how thick she looked.
You know, people really need to stop that.
I know. Can people please stop? Like, with the whole Thanos and Elastigirl thing, like, it's so annoying at this point. Like, why? Why are we looking at these people like this? I don't know. But before we get going, what I want to do is I did put out over on the social medias. I brought it up over on Sandwich on Films, also on Facebook and on Twitter, talking about what are some people's favorite films. So, Cody, I'm going to read down the list. Some of these films we've already talked about, some we haven't. So the ones we haven't, we'll get into discussions about.
Okay, so sounds good.
Deadpool 2. Joe Adams says Tag is his favorite film, which is really cool. Holly Gayhart. Again, I'm probably mispronouncing a ton of these names. I'm apologizing. She says she hopes Ant-Man 2 will be. I really enjoyed Ant-Man. Hilda Torres says Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. Now, Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, obviously, you don't love.
No.
I liked it. It was fine.
No,
I
but
think you need to see this film again. I think you
no.
Again,
no.
I like Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. I do understand why people think it's their favorite film, though. It is a fun movie, and I again, film's subjective. It is. If the island, if everything after the island worked for you, I totally understand why you're gonna like this film. I totally understand that. Floor Macius says close call between Annihilation and A Quiet Place. Both had me sitting watching to collect my thoughts on what I had just seen before getting up and leaving the theater. That's us. That was us too.
Yeah.
Hereditary can be thrown in there as well.
Yeah, even though a lot of people are like, it's boring. You guys are stupid. You don't know what you're talking about.
Well, they're stupid. Alan Atkins says Avengers Infinity War. Ended up seeing it 4 times in theaters. Totally agree.
Nice. Yeah.
Sergio Preles says Ready Player One.
Good choice.
Robert Green says Avengers again. Sarah says Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. So apparently people really love Jurassic World.
Yeah.
And also, congrats to it made $800 million as of today.
Yep. Wow.
Andrea Taylor says Sicario is her favorite, which honestly, that almost made my top 10. I really liked Sicario. I just finally watched your review, and I get where your points were. Do you have anything to say about Sicario? I
mean, Sicario, for those of you who didn't see my review, I think Sicario is a really good film. I enjoyed it. It's like I said in my review, for everything I really enjoyed.
Guys.
All of the stuff that deal with Josh Brolin and Benicio del Toro, that whole section of the film I loved. And then there were some things like a certain subplot to deal with a kid in the drug cartel that I just flat out hated because it felt like a completely different movie.
So real fast, no spoilers. Did you not like the ending then?
Did I not? No.
Where it left it off. You didn't like the ending?
Because I think it set it up for a sequel. But the fact of the matter is I didn't think that there was one aspect of this film, no spoilers, that I think they should have left. I think they should have cut it off at a certain point, and I didn't think that character. Yes, and I think they should have made a certain call with this movie, and I think they should have cut it all and had the balls not to make another sequel. Because I think that's something that studios and producers and stuff. I think that is something.
The trilogy, Taylor Sheridan has mapped out in his head since the first one came out. So he's already known what he's doing. Yeah. So that's the thing, is that it's not the studio. He was the one that pushed for a sequel. He wanted to do a sequel, and he's pushing to do a trilogy. So that's why I was okay with them doing a sequel once I heard that part. Depending on where they take the films, though, I'm curious to see where that goes.
Oh, so, also, one more thing.
Your problems with it, though.
Yeah, also when it comes to Sicario, the first thing, this is what I'll say about the first like 10 to 15 minutes of the film. It kind of feels like a completely different film. Like the very beginning of the film, it does set up certain characters, but I don't think it really had anything to deal with the rest of the movie whatsoever.
Oh, I beg to differ. I think it does, but that's a different debate.
Yeah.
I know we keep saying that, but we're trying not to get off topic because me and Cody tend to get off topic a lot. So we also got Hannah Coldwell, Jillian Amberg, and Anna Meldelin all say Deadpool 2 as well.
Nice.
Hey,
good
I love Deadpool 2. Wish we could have made it. Anna Meldelin, Stephanie Boyette says Black Panther. Agree. Christian Thurber says Hereditary. Great choice. Erica Dunez says Avengers Infinity War. And then this one, Cody, I know you're not going to agree with this one, and neither will I, but I'm glad that you thought this. It's Tina Flores says Life of the Party. I understand. No, don't get me wrong. I understand why. I know some people who think the same. It is a cute film. It's just not for me. Just not for me.
Yeah, true.
All right. So then on my personal Twitter, Facebook page, I hit up some other people, some of our YouTube friends. Amari Point says Avengers Infinity War. Justin Moore says Avengers Infinity War. Otis Emick, a kid I used to go to high school with, says Quiet Place. Great choice.
Nice.
Joshua Drake, either Ready Player One or Avengers Infinity War Part 1. Jenny Hamick is another YouTuber that you guys probably don't know. She does some cosplay and stuff. She's pretty good at that. She did Ready Player One, Avengers Infinity War, Incredibles 2 are my top 3, no specific order, but I'm really excited for Mamma Mia 2. Are you excited for Mamma Mia 2?
No.
No. I have to take my sister to see it. Right, Madeline? She probably didn't hear it. Dakota Joy says Incredibles 2, Deadpool 2, and A Quiet Place. All great. Skylar Neal says A Quiet Place. Zachary Toombs says Deadpool 2. Steven Bananas says Blockers. JK. Yeah, you better JK that shit. It was a funny film, though. Ryan O'Toole, Lee McCoy say Infinity War. Sammy Klinger, Sammy from Sammy One World, says Annihilation. Yeah. Okay, so happy someone brought this one up. Jeff Malik, he says, Won't You Be My Neighbor and A Quiet Place and Incredibles 2 are my top 3. Won't You Be My Neighbor? Everyone needs to see this film. It is
I'm going to see it today.
Freaking good. I hope you like it. Did you grow up with Mr. Rogers?
Yes, I did.
I didn't even know who he was, to be honest. I knew some parts of him, but I didn't know him. Aria Davis says Black Panther and Strangers Pray at Night. Good for you. Glad you liked Strangers Pray at Night. I hated it. I'm sure you did too.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Anthony DeJoya from Silver Screen Analysis has me so jealous. He says Sorry to Bother You, which is a film I've been killing to see. And damn, you are so lucky you already saw it.
I mean, haven't the people have already described it? I believe I read something somewhere that said it was like Get Out, but on an LSD.
On an acid. Yep, pretty much. Jared Bucknell says, gotta go with Quiet Place, but I have a feeling that'll change after I see out Won't You Be My Neighbor. Anthony Jenkins says Avengers Infinity War. Russell Howell says Avengers Infinity War, Ready Player One, Black Panther, Love, Simon, and Game Night. So pretty much all the films that we all agree on. You know what I mean? And then we got a couple more to go through. John Foley says Hereditary. Eric Armstrong, A Quiet Place. And then what's his man? I'm going to be mad. Okay. Norville's Nightmares on Twitter says Love, Simon is his favorite, but he also loved Paddington too. So that's great to hear.
Lots of great choices.
Yeah. So there is one other film I do want to bring up before we get going that I know you haven't seen, and I hope to God, I don't think it'll come to your area, sadly, but if you ever catch it on VOD, it's a film that I really do want to put in my honorable mentions, and that I know Rachel Wagner would love for me to say is Leave No Trace. It stars Ben Foster and I don't remember the girl's name. I'm not even going to try and butcher
Mackenzie Davis.
Yep, Mackenzie Davis. Thank you. I knew it was Mackenzie something. Oh my, a fantastic film. Amazing film. One of the best films of this year. Such a sweet film. And I just have to give a shout out to that. I knew Rachel Wagner would want me to be doing this. So if you do watch this, Rachel, there you go. There's your little shout out for Leave No Trace, even though it's left a trace in my head. But that's going to be it, guys, for this podcast. This was a great discussion talking our top 10 and some other films of what are our favorites for this year. It's a hard list. And man, it's going to be hard at the end of the year. It's going to be really hard at the end of the year. So, Cody, what are your last thoughts and where can they find you, man?
All right. First of all, this has been a really great discussion. You know, we're only halfway through the year, but which is exciting because you see how many great films we've had leading up to this point. And now we got another half of the year to enjoy some really, really great film. But guys, you can always find me here on the Sweet Film Podcast, but you can also find me on YouTube. Just search Cody Curtis in the YouTube search bar. Should be the first name that pops up. You can also find me on Twitter and Instagram at _Cody_Curtis. You can also find me on Snapchat at Cody Curtis and also on Stardust, which is a movie and television show reactionary app. Just search Cody Curtis.
Oh, that's where you can find that cute boy right over there. Go hit him up, guys. Go subscribe to him to go do all that kind of loving stuff that you guys need to do. Comment down below, guys, if you guys didn't get to get into our video. Comment down below and tell us what your guys' favorite films were. Leave some questions as well. We'll be taking some questions in the next few podcasts. Of course, if you don't see your questions pop up in one, I promise we will get to it. I'm saving some for certain things. There's some DCU questions that I'm most likely saving for the week before Comic-Con. So look out for that, guys. I'm really happy with how this video turned out. I'm really happy with your guys' list. I'm really happy with Cody's list. I'm really happy with my list. I'm glad there was no arguing this time about Jurassic World or Solo. But guys, of course, you guys are seriously all the best. So make sure to hit up that like button, hit that subscribe button, go check out our podcast feed if you guys need the time to go do that. Leave a rating over there. We really appreciate that. Most important thing is also go hit up Sandwich on Films down below, because right there you guys can get into advanced movie screens, check out some movie news and movie reviews. Me and Cody have both done reviews for them, either together or separate. He saw Nostalgia. Thank God he watched that, and I did not have to. Thank you to Cody. He's shaking his head, not happy right now. But guys, seriously, you guys are all the best. I really appreciate it. So of course, until next time, you guys all stay classy and have a great rest of your sweet ass day.